These are daily affirmations you can speak over yourself from the book Extreme Ownership by Jocko, Willink, and Leif, Babin. Chapter 1. Extreme Ownership. I own everything in my world, the successes and the failures, the results and the shortfalls, the outcomes of every decision I have ever made and every decision I have failed to make. I do not distribute ownership. I keep all of it. When something goes wrong on my team, I do not ask who is to blame. I ask what I failed to explain, what training I failed to provide, and what leadership I failed to give. The answer is always in the mirror. I look there first. Extreme ownership is not a burden I carry reluctantly. It is a power I claim deliberately. The person who owns their results completely is the person who has the most power to change them. I want that power. I claim it. I stop making excuses, not because my circumstances are easy, but because excuses are the architecture of permanent stuckness. Every excuse I have been making has been a wall between where I am and where I want to be. I take the walls down. I owned every mistake I have ever made, not to punish myself with them, but to extract the lesson and apply it. A mistake owned is a mistake that can be corrected. A mistake blamed on someone else is a mistake that will repeat. I own my own. I correct them. I move forward. Chapter 2. No bad teams, only bad leaders. There are no bad teams, only bad leaders. This truth is as uncomfortable as it is liberating. If my team is underperforming, I am the variable, not them. I lead differently until the result changes. I set the standard and I hold it. Not occasionally, not when it is convenient, not when it is noticed, always. The standard is the standard. I embody it personally before I demand it from anyone else. I do not accept mediocrity from my team because I refuse to accept it from myself. The level of performance I personally demonstrate is the ceiling my team will never exceed. I raise my ceiling continuously. When I see poor performance, I look for what the leader has failed to do, even when that leader is me. Especially when that leader is me. Accountability begins at the top. I am at the top of my domain. I hold myself there. Chapter 3. Believe. I believe in the mission, not passively, not as a formality. I have examined it, questioned it, understood the purpose behind it, and I have arrived at a genuine conviction. That conviction is what I bring people I lead. When I do not understand why a decision has been made above me, I ask. I seek the understanding I need to believe in and execute the mission with full commitment. I do not fake belief. I find it. I communicate the why behind every task I assign. People perform differently when they understand the purpose. They do not need to agree with every decision. They need to understand the intent. I make the intent clear. A leader who does not believe in the mission will transmit their doubt to everyone around them. I refuse to transmit doubt. If I have questions, I ask them up the chain of command, not down it. I protect the belief of my team. Chapter 4. Check the ego. I check my ego at the door, not because I am self-deprecating, but because I understand that an unchecked ego is the single most common cause of leadership failure. My ego has cost me more than any external obstacle ever has. I am willing to be wrong, not as a performance of humility, but as a genuine recognition that I do not have all the answers and that the person in front of me might have something I need to hear. I stay open. I do not need credit for every success. I do not need to be the smartest person in the room. I do not need my plan to be the one that gets chosen. I need the mission to succeed. That is what I optimize for. The ego whispers that I do not need feedback, that criticism is unfair, that my way is the right way. I have learned to recognize that whisper, and I do the opposite of what it suggests. The ego is wrong every time it conflicts with the mission. Chapter 5. Cover and move. Cover and move. I support the people on my team and they support me. No one operates alone in a vacuum. No one succeeds by hoarding information, credit, or resources. The team wins together and the team loses together. I choose winning together. I eliminate the silos. Every subunit of my team exists to serve the mission, not its own interests. When I catch my group competing with another part of the team rather than collaborating, I correct it immediately. We are on the same side. I cover for my teammates, and I let them cover for me. Accepting help is not weakness, it is tactical intelligence. The leader who refuses support because it would compromise their image of self-sufficiency is the leader who gets their team killed, metaphorically and sometimes literally. Chapter 6. Simple. Complexity kills. Simplify everything. I make things simple, not because I am unsophisticated, but because I understand that complexity is the enemy of execution. The more complex my plan, the more things can go wrong. The simpler it is, the more likely my team is to execute it flawlessly. If my team does not understand the plan, it is not their fault. It is mine. I do not explain it simply enough. I go back and make it simpler until every person in the room can explain it back to me in their own words. I communicate with clarity, not with impressive vocabulary, not with lengthy explanations, not with qualifications layered on top of qualifications, with clarity. What we are doing, why we are doing it, and what does success look like? Full stop. When a plan becomes too complex to explain clearly, it is time to simplify the plan. I am ruthless about this. Simple plans executed well always beat complex plans executed poorly. Chapter 7. Prioritize and execute. Relax, look around, make a call. When everything is happening at once, I relax. I look around. I assess the highest priority, and I make a call. Not after every variable is resolved, now, with the information I have. Leadership is not about waiting for certainty. It is about making good decisions under pressure. I prioritize, one problem at a time. The leader who tries to solve everything simultaneously solves nothing well. I identify the highest impact problem in front of me, I address it completely, and I move to the next one. When the situation changes, and it always changes, I reassess the priorities and I communicate the new priority immediately and clearly. The team cannot execute a priority they do not know. I keep them informed. I train for this. I practice the discipline of prioritizing under pressure so that when the pressure is real, the habit is already formed. Discipline in practice becomes instinct in crisis. I practice the discipline. Chapter 8. Decentralized command. I develop leaders, not followers. Every person on my team should be capable of taking over my role if I go down. That is not a threat to my position. It is the highest form of leadership. Making myself replaceable by making everyone around me stronger. I trust the people I have trained. Micromanagement is the admission that I either do not trust my training or did not do the work to provide it. I do the work, I trust the result. I push decision-making authority as far down the chain as possible. The person closest to the problem almost always has the best information to solve it. I give them the authority to match the responsibility I am asking them to carry. I communicate the commander's intent clearly so that every leader on my team can make decisions aligned with the mission even when they cannot reach me for guidance. Intent understood at every level is the most powerful force multiplier available to any organization. Chapter 9. Plan. I plan thoroughly. I identify the most likely risks. I build contingencies. I know what I will do when the plan meets reality and reality wins. Because it always does. The plan is not the mission. The planning is. I brief my team completely. Not just what we are doing, but why. Not just the plan, but what to do when the plan changes. Not just the tasks, but the intent behind them. A team that understands the intent can improvise intelligently. A team that only knows the task cannot. I debrief after every operation without ego. What went well, what did not, and what we do differently next time. The debrief is where the learning lives. I create the environment where honest debriefs are safe, where people can say what actually happened without fear. I check and adjust continuously. Plans are made with the information available before execution. That information is always incomplete. I treat every plan as a hypothesis, and I update it as the mission provides new data. Chapter 10. Leading up and down the chain of command. I lead down by taking care of my team, giving them the training, the resources, the information, and the authority they need to succeed. Their success is my success. Their failure is my failure. I invest in them accordingly. I lead up by keeping my superiors informed, not with complaints or demands, but with information, solutions, and recommendations. My job is to make my boss's job easier by solving problems before they reach him and by bringing answers alongside questions. I do not wait for my leaders to check on me. I proactively communicate what they need to know. I bring them solutions, not just problems. I make myself easy to lead by being easy to trust. When I disagree with a decision from above, I express it once, clearly, respectfully, through the appropriate channel. And then I execute the decision with full commitment. Loyalty does not mean silence. It means following through even when I would have been chosen differently. Chapter 11. Decisiveness amongst uncertainty. I make decisions, not after every variable is resolved. They never will be. With the information I have, in the time I have, I make the best call I can and execute it with full commitment. Indecision is a decision. It is always the wrong one. I am comfortable with uncertainty. The leader who waits for certainty before acting will always be too late. I gather the best information available. I assess it quickly. I decide, and I adjust as I go. That is the sequence. I execute it. I lean into discomfort. The difficult decisions are the ones that matter most, and they are the ones that require a leader rather than a manager. I am a leader. I do not defer the difficult ones. I own the outcome of every decision I make, the good ones and the bad ones. Owning the outcome is what makes me better. A leader who does not own their decisions does not learn from them. I own every one. Chapter 12. Discipline equals freedom. The dichotomy of leadership. Discipline equals freedom. This is the paradox that only becomes obvious once you have lived it. The undisciplined person is a slave to every impulse, every distraction, every shortcut. The disciplined person is free to do anything they have decided to do. I choose discipline. I choose freedom. I wake up early. I do the work no one is watching. I train when I do not feel like training. I plan when planning is boring. I do the hard thing first because I know that the hard thing done first makes everything else easier. That is discipline. That discipline is producing a freedom that I could not have purchased any other way. The dichotomy of leadership. I must be confident but not arrogant. I must be a leader but also a follower. I must be aggressive but not reckless. I must be calm but not robotic. I must be strategic but also get into the details. I hold these tensions deliberately, consciously, and with the understanding that the balance point is always shifting. I keep finding it. I lead with humility and I execute with ferocity. I listen first and I speak with authority. I serve the people I lead and I demand their best. These are not contradictions. They are the full picture of what a leader actually is. I am becoming that leader, one day of discipline at a time. I hope this blesses you. Grace and peace.